Welcome to Homeschool Nolan, here to help you navigate learning in the digital age. One of the things I love about homeschooling is that it gives me, the parent, ownership over my child's curriculum. And today, I'd like to share why reading classic novels should be an important part of your curriculum, and in particular, why you should read Herman Melville's Moby Dick in the digital age. Now, some of you may have read Moby Dick back in high school and remember it as a really long novel about Captain Ahab and his maniacal obsession to hunt down and kill the great white whale known as Moby Dick. The book was first published in 1851 and is considered one of the greatest classic novels in all of American literature. Which leads to the question, what makes a novel a classic? And why read classics today in the digital age? To answer this, I'd like to share what Carl Hovde, who was a professor of English at Columbia University, wrote in an introduction for Moby Dick. He wrote, "As always with the greatest works, the novel is so many-sided that over time it mirrors back the shifting concerns of those who read it, and that is the definition of a classic." In other words, times may change, but novels become classics because they transcend time and are able to speak to each new generation about their concerns and their challenges of the day. Classics speak to future generations because while technology and society changes, human nature does not. And a great classic has well-developed characters that future generations can always relate to and recognize in their own time as well. And Captain Ahab of Moby Dick is no exception. Ahab gets his crew on the whaling ship the Pequod to join him on his maniacal hunt for revenge against Moby Dick. Anyone who has ever been obsessed or been around with someone who is obsessed should study Captain Ahab. Captain Ahab makes all of us wonder, is he a madman or a good man gone mad? But Captain Ahab doesn't go it alone. With him is Ishmael, the innocent narrator of Moby Dick, along with his pragmatic first officer, Starbuck, who tries to stand up to Captain Ahab. And there is, of course, Queequeg, the harpooner from the South Pacific. Ishmael is initially frightened when he first meets Queequeg, thinking he's a cannibal. But after overcoming some initial prejudice, he forms a genuine friendship built on mutual admiration and respect. Rounding out the crew of the Pequod is a motley, diverse crew, which includes an African-American cabin boy named Pip and Native American harpooners. As the crew of the Pequod live and work together on the dangerous seas, they represent a microcosm of the diverse country the United States was about to become. Now, when Moby Dick was first published in 1851, it was not a commercial success. It wasn't until the 1920s that the novel became the popular classic that we know today. Now, part of it could be attributed to some nostalgia for the bygone era of the whaling industry that eventually gave way to the oil industry. Today, there are some who feel that, or at least should be, nearing the end of the fossil fuel industry. If that's true, then the whaling industry, as depicted in Moby Dick, offers a fascinating perspective and appreciation for our own times. Reading it, you can't help but to appreciate the brave men who would go out to sea for months or even years to do a very dangerous job so that people back home could have the whale oil they needed to light their lamps and power their industrial factories. And even though the book is about men hunting whales, Herman Melville, through the character Ishmael, can't help but to express awe and wonder for the mighty Leviathan of the seas. Now, Moby Dick is a lengthy novel, written in dense 19th century prose. It can be challenging for younger students to understand it. That's why I was glad to discover this Classic Starts series, an edition of Moby Dick. This is, of course, an abridged version geared towards younger readers. At first, my 10-year-old son didn't really want to read it, but once he started reading it, I was pleasantly surprised that he couldn't put it down until he finished it. Now, as someone who's read Moby Dick the original a couple times, I myself found it to be an enjoyable read. The book does a pretty good job of preserving the essence of the novel for younger readers. What I also like about it is that it comes with 10 questions for discussion at the end that I had my son answer. Now, a couple of questions I really liked are: does Captain Ahab seem like a good leader to you? What parts of his personality make him well suited to being captain of the ship? And also, do you think it was right for Starbuck to stand up to Captain Ahab? These questions got both my son and I thinking, and they're a great way to help younger readers appreciate this classic novel. By starting with the classic Start Edition, I think he'll now be more than ready to read the original full-length version of Moby Dick in just a couple of years. By the way, if you're looking for an online platform to help you study and appreciate literature, check out Study.com. Study.com has over 8,300 engaging videos, including lessons on English literature and literary theory. I use it with my son, and we find it a great way to support his homeschooling as well as my own supplemental learning. Use the coupon code HomeschoolNolan and get 30% off the first 3 months. Check out Study.com today. So in summary, classic novels have a way of speaking to each new generation. And while we may no longer hunt for whales today, Moby Dick still speaks to us today in the digital age. And if you haven't read it yet, I hope this video has made you more interested in reading this great American novel. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to click subscribe for more videos like this one. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.